Hey, how's it going everyone? It is Drago. We're back with another chapter of Fairy Tale 100 Year Quest, chapter 193, Black Dragon's Successor. And the cover page for this chapter has Bestia on it, and surprisingly enough there isn't a pre-dragonized form for her, which would have been probably helpful to have, especially with what happens by the end of this chapter, to where I don't know if we're ever going to see the pre-dragonized form of her. So really not too much to go off of for this cover. So the chapter picks up pretty much where the last chapter left off, with Natsu about to go rush to go take on Ignia before kind of waiting for everyone. And everyone's just like, how are you going to find him, let alone like fight him, and how are you going to get there immediately? Which is where Elfsare shows up. Very much a callback to the very beginning of 100 Year Quest. That is quite the running gag for him, and I'm honestly not the biggest fan of it. Which I do find actually kind of funny is he needs to know like the exact location to be able to teleport there, and I love that Happy just like points to a general direction like where Ignia went. He's like, yep, got it, totally understand. I thought that was a significantly more funny gag than the earlier bit. And honestly, the rest of this chapter is just kind of recapping the 100 Year Quest and all the dragons that they defeated in that, like Ignia's the last one. And it's pretty kind of boring, that section with the Fairy Tale crew and just talking with him. Kind of an interesting note is right as they're teleporting to go take on Ignia is when we cut back over to the Fire and Flames members, and they're all reverting back to their human forms from the dragonized forms, which is kind of interesting because I'm fairly confident that no Lacrima was destroyed, so kind of interesting as to how they turned back. Which you do get a page and a half just going to some of the other fights going on, which really isn't much to progress these fights at all. Like literally you only get a single panel showing a very slight progression of a fight with like Mira, Elfman, Gajiel, and like the Alderon fight. Really not much to expand upon there. Like you literally just get the one panel and that's it. Honestly, the one I'm really wanting to see is that Gajiel one, and oh my gosh, it keeps getting pushed off. And pretty much the final half of this chapter is the fight with Ferris and Bestia, which this first panel with them I actually really like. It's kind of like a yin-yang kind of layout there. I think that's pretty cool. Which Bestia must be able to sense the magic power of her guildmates, because she's like, oh, their powers got cut in half. Like, is she talking about like the dragonized powers or like literally their whole guild? Because like that was a majority of their guild that just got defeated. Which I'm actually quite curious as to what Bestia's attack that she does to Ferris here, because she has like all these like spikes and she like stabs her. Like pretty cool attack, but it doesn't get a name. I would love to know what the name of that one is. As she's like attacking her, she's talking about how she feels lonely, that no one in the world can possibly defeat Ignia. Which her attack really doesn't do much of anything to Ferris. It just gets completely dissolved with the Acnologia arm. And meanwhile, Ferris is talking about, hey, I also feel lonely, that like no one knows the power of Acnologia. You do get a very cool double page spread with Ferris with the Acnologia behind her, which I'm kind of wondering now, based on how she's acting throughout the chapter, if like Acnologia in some way is getting some form of control over her, because she's definitely getting some of his tendencies. And honestly, Bestia really doesn't seem too concerned that she's bragging about Acnologia, because she's like, Acnologia, he was beaten by flames, he was beaten by a human, and you expect me to be scared of you? Then immediately hits her with a Fire and Flame Rondo, which Rondo is making quite a bit of a comeback since we got Zero in the fray now. And as Ferris is getting completely surrounded in flames, she basically kind of has almost like a mental break to where she's like, all you humans and dragons used to tremble at the name of Acnologia. And the final page of this chapter is literally Ferris just absolutely destroying Bestia, which you gotta love that she's like blown her completely in half, and then she's asking her a question like, hey, you remember now? I'm pretty sure she's not going to be able to answer that question, Ferris. And with that, it is the end of this chapter, so my thoughts. So much for Natsu getting Bestia's Flames and getting an upgrade, because that was kind of a side goal, and yeah, she looks pretty dead to me. This is why I was saying it was kind of pointless to put her at the front of this chapter to where she doesn't have a dragonized form. You might as well have showed it right there because I don't see her coming back. Kind of crazy that we're almost 200 chapters in and we're still kind of summarizing things and wasting a good chunk of the chapter on that. I really just want to get the conclusions to Gajiel, Mira, and Elfman's fights. We've been putting them off for so long. Like, can we get them at this point? They've been really pushed aside, and it's kind of a bummer for them. I just really want to see the new Gajiel fight. Honestly, after this chapter, I am kind of convinced that Acnologia is some way influencing Ferris in some way, or maybe has some kind of control over her, because she's definitely getting more tendencies of him. Kind of a mixed bag on this chapter, to where half was recap and then half was just a completely one-sided fight, and then just barely showing other fights that were going on. So it was kind of a mixed bag here. What are your guys' thoughts on this chapter? Leave in the comments below. Thank you for watching, and this is Drago signing out.